And on that note, hey everybody, welcome to Streaming Wasteland, the show where Ringo buys his own knives. Why does he need knives for a podcast? Stay tuned.
This podcast is going to turn into fucking cooking with Wasteland.
Except that it won't, because neither one of us are where we actually cook. You're just going to be sitting up there putting holes in your wall, and I'll be over here being like, well, I guess he's going to have to live here soon. I'm Greg, and with me always is Ringo. Say hi, Knife Ringo.
Hey, Knife Ringo.
We're talking about the bear. Again, this is episode 4, Dogs. We got one kind of new character. He was in the first episode. We haven't talked about him since. That is Chris Witowski playing Pete, which is Natalie/Sugar's husband. The family does not like Pete. Not 100% sure why, but the family does not like Pete. This episode has an 8.1 IMDb rating. We've finally done it. We've cracked into the 8s, meaning that so far, this is the quote-unquote best episode of The Bear. So far. Before we dive into it, Ringo, what do you put on your hot dogs?
Depends, because if I've got sauerkraut, that shit's going on there.
So, like, let's say that you have just like a Oscar Mayer hot dog, and you have any ingredient you could want. What are you putting on there?
Any ingredient that I want. All right, so recently I found out that there's a really good way to go ahead and make hot dogs, and I've tried it, and it's really good. It's called seasoning your hot dogs.
If you show me another picture of your wiener.
No, so you put mustard, you put your favorite seasoning on it, then you go ahead and cook the hot dog. Ketchup, and you're gonna hate this, but relish, onions, and like I said, sauerkraut, dude. I love hot dogs with sauerkraut.
Ugh, pickle relish is just gross. Like,
dude,
pickles are gross.
I love the most sour fucking pickle relish I can find.
Like pickles are basically like the Lord's way of letting him know that we do have free will, because we've decided to make this fucking monstrosity. We're like, what if we soured a cucumber for a while? It's fucking awful. No divine being would make that. No, Santa Claus wouldn't let us do this.
Good thing that
faith. You guys don't get it.
Good thing neither of those exist.
Santa's not real?
Yeah, children, Santa's not real. Neither is the Easter Bunny.
Well, technically, kids shouldn't be watching this, as I flag all of our videos and episodes as explicit. But if you are listening to this, dude, kids, what are you doing? There are better things. There are no bears actually involved in the show. It's just called The Bear. But there's no fun bears. Winnie the Pooh does not show up yet. I haven't seen season 3 yet, so who knows?
Don't listen to Greg. Don't listen to Greg. There are definitely bears in here. You got to go ahead and see them. They're hidden all over the place.
You've got Easter egg bears everywhere. Yeah, so I've actually become partial to this Seattle-style hot dog, but it's for one fucking reason. The Seattle-style hot dog puts cream cheese on the bun, and I actually really like cream cheese in my like meat dishes. But I like cream cheese with like a little bit of stroganoff, stuff like that. But yeah, so it's usually cream cheese on the bun. That's what makes it a Seattle dog. Grilled onions, jalapenos, sauerkraut, sometimes brown mustard, sometimes sriracha sauce. Every once in a while you get scallions. And yeah, so I had one for the first time. There's a place in town that does hot dogs. We should go over there one day.
Fuck yeah.
But they have one on theirs. I think they call it Tacoma style, but it is basically the same thing. And it's delightful. I was genuinely surprised.
Actually,
there's apparently a really, really good one at the Amazon Sphere. Like it's an elevated one. A James Beard award-winning person serves one. Ooh, nice. But it's an $18 hot dog. Ooh. And I don't know if I'm right there. He does have pink salmon caviar on that, but like I don't know if I'm that person.
That sounds like at least once in your life.
Yeah. Oh, it was $18 before inflation. I don't know what it costs now.
So closer to 22. Actually, now that you started describing that, there when we lived in New Mexico, there was a restaurant that opened up near where we lived, and they did fancy hot dogs as well. There was a pastrami dog. I don't remember everything that was on there, but it was pastrami, pickled onions. I think it was brown mustard, and jalapenos. Those are the 4 ingredients that I remember. There might have been sour,
Damn.
cream cheese on it. I don't. It was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That is my favorite.
Yeah. So it's actually a $25 hot dog now.
Oh,
So, listeners, if you want us to get this hot dog and eat it on camera, which I don't know why you want that, but if you're just desperate to watch me shove a hot dog into my mouth, please send me $25. Actually, $29 because I'll need gas to get up to Seattle. And so, yeah, if you give me $30, I'll go out there. I'll even, I don't know, rub some on me some way, if that's really what everybody's into. But yeah, okay. So neither one of us said ketchup, but is ketchup on a hot dog wrong?
no.
Would you call it childish?
No.
Okay.
'Cause-
It comes up later in this episode. This is a Chicago thing as far as I could tell.
So here's my statement to that. You ever been to a baseball game?
Yeah.
What's one of the main condiments that they give you at a baseball game?
Disappointment because you're at a baseball game.
Very true. Very honest. You're not wrong. But one of the condiments that I remember is in the big giant red tubs of ketchup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's outside Costco too.
Yeah.
Like you go to a Costco, you get there. I don't know how much it is now, but it used to be $1.25 for the hot dog, and then you start just slathering it up in whatever.
If Costco has it, then it's real. It's okay. It's fine. Don't be a little fucking bitch about this.
Nah, this is the same shit that. This is the same as like, boneless wings are just chicken nuggets for adults, and it's like dope. I like chicken nuggets, so like, in my opinion, and this is no offense to anybody, but you remember about 8 years ago, there was like an epidemic of dudes who were just competing to eat spicier things, not because they liked it, but because they just wanted to show you that they could. And you're like, I really hope one day that somebody hugs you and it's a meaningful hug, because the rest of us don't really care that you're able to eat a ghost pepper, right? Like that really doesn't do much for most people.
The funny thing is like that thing, that whole fad never really died out. It just kind of got quiet, because I've heard so many stories of them like, oh, we had scientists go ahead and make something that's 10 billion Scoville, and it'll go ahead and melt your jaw out because it's actually acid, you dumb fuck. Or it's a goddamn base. It's a legitimate base. And you know what bases do? It literally corrodes your fucking skin.
Yeah, and it'll be like, oh, like let's fucking so after we made this super hot pepper, we sprayed it with mace and cooked it. And you're just like, I hope you get tased for real. you need to be stopped. You're a criminal.
The other day, a cop went ahead and maced me, and I just inhaled everything, and I was perfectly fine.
I breathed it back out on him like a fucking dragon.
Calm down. Calm down.
All right. So this episode is called Dogs, in reference to hot dogs, which play a big role in this. Not served at the restaurant, but we open up with Marcus looking through the window of Rosaire's Bakery and memorized by the process of how donuts are made. We get a little montage of donuts, all the various different pieces. It made me want donuts so bad. And I was watching this like 5:30-ish in the afternoon, and I was like, fuck, dude, the only place I can get donuts from right now are not a place you want to get donuts from, because all the legit donut shops close up between like 2 and 3, maybe 4 at the latest. But I mean, I could probably go to Starbucks and get a donut at 4:30, but Starbucks donuts taste gross. Speaking of which, Krispy Kreme has a Dr. Pepper donut, and I do mean to go get that. It's limited time only, and so I'm gonna try and check that out. I'm not the biggest fan of Krispy Kreme, but I will try weird flavors or something, especially when it only cost me like $4. Like if they were like, this is our $19 this is our $19 Dr. Pepper donut, I'd be like, that's yo $19 Dr. Pepper donut. But yeah, so then we cut over to the restaurant, and this episode's called Dogs because Carmi and Richie are doing a catering job at a child's party in order to pay off some debt, and they are serving hot dogs because kids like hot dogs. It strikes me as very opulent to have a professional chef come and cater your child's party just to make hot dogs. But man, this scene fucking cracks me up because Richie's there, and he's bitching the whole time because he's trying to get this inflatable hot dog in the car, and then he's also trying to get a shirt on it, and
it's Italian. Shit is exposure, baby.
I don't need you exposing anything.
Like, It's a fucking hot dog in a beef t-shirt. That shit is hilarious.
He's like, it's hilarious, right? Like the hot dog wearing a shirt. It's so funny. I was just like, you're such a fucking dweeb. And then Carmi starts bitching at him like, it's not going to go in there, dude. Like, stop fucking fighting. And then Richie's like, well, I shouldn't even be doing this. Like, I'm going to miss a ton of like administration.
You have no idea the amount of administrative correspondence I'm supposed to be doing in there today, okay? It is fucking bonkers.
Correspondence?
Yeah.
Is that right?
You know, you like to shit on my system, but I run a tight ship and I get back to my cohorts and my associates in a timely fashion.
All right, do me a favor. Just name a cohort. Name an associate. Just one fucking person. I dare you.
Timothy, but I'm not fucking. Give me a hand.
It's not gonna fit.
Dude, that's some family shit right there, right? Just some fucking like really? Name one girl you've talked to, right? Jessica, and then just like
My mom.
Both of our moms.
I've got 2 sisters. I've talked to them once.
Yeah, I've talked to them. I've seen them. And everyone has to explain, like, dude, you're really gross for saying that in this context.
I'm married. I got a wife.
No, I mean back in the past, not you right now.
I talk to her occasionally.
I doubt it. Otherwise, you'd listen more.
Hi, wife.
But yeah, hi, Mrs. Ringo. But Carmi laughs at Richie. Like, he's like, "Are you fucking serious?" They get into a tussle, like pushing the hot dog at each other, and it fucking pops. And this opening, and in the background, you see Tina walk out to take out the trash and walk back into the restaurant. And I was like, this is some real shit. If you've ever worked at a family-owned business, this is sort of shit you do see in the parking lot from time to time, right? It's like 2 brothers, couple cousins, whatever, just fighting each other. But yeah, and then it pops and they sit there for a minute, and then Richie goes, "I'll go get the spare." And so I've been watching these with my wife, and both of us are like, "Why do you have a spare inflatable hot dog? Your restaurant is in such deep debt, and you have 2 inflatable hot dogs."
I asked the same damn question, but real quick, did that not remind you of like interactions with your sibling? Because fuck me, man. It's not going to fit. I will make it fit.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, what a dude thing, right? How, like, every fucking guy I know has had these moments. They're just like, I will get this into the car. And it's like, you're not going to get that into the car. And it's like, you know what? Fuck you. I will get that into the fucking car. And tell me what and then 5 minutes later, you're like, well, what if we bungee the gate shut?
Or you get it in, you turn around and you do that thing where you're like, told you.
Yeah. Fuck. And absolutely nobody's impressed. I think this is the universal truth of all dudes, right? That's why I feel like we do owe it to people when we see that in the parking lot, like some dude like lashing a fucking tree to the top of his car, finally gets everything in. This thing looks like it's going to careen over at any moment. Give him just a thumbs up, dude. Like, fucking respect, right? Because you know who doesn't respect that shit? Anybody else. Like, nobody gives a shit. We're all going to be driving behind that guy in 2 minutes being like, what a dipshit.
Final Destination ass.
Right? Like, don't fucking log truck me, you bitch. No scene has scarred a generation more than that fucking scene, dude. If you've seen Final Destination 2, you're terrified of log trucks. Everyone is.
Dude, you know how it is coming out to my neck of the woods out here. Everybody out, like, I've had people come out here and they're like, you drive behind this? I'm like, I try not to.
Yeah, nobody wants to. Meanwhile, so we're gonna have 2 kind of separate storylines here. This one's at the restaurant. Marcus is making a cake now that he's kind of gotten the go ahead to become the patissier. He's making a cake. He serves it to Sydney. Sydney thinks it's delicious. This gives Marcus a lot of confidence. Sydney goes to check in on Tina, and Tina is being such a fucking asshole in this episode. Like, if the last episode was Tina being bad, this is Tina being the absolute worst.
Hey, do you remember the mashed potatoes? Just want to check in.
Did you remember when I said to fuck off?
Okay, fuck off isn't yes.
Well, fuck off means I know how to do it.
And you're just like, you fucking stupid asshole. She tries to remind Tina the new mashed potato recipes requires cream that can't get too hot. Tina tells her fuck off again. And then Sydney tries to empathize with Tina on the level of like, hey, I understand what it's like to be a woman in the kitchen and have people bitching at it. And Tina's just doing that whole thing the whole time. She's like, oh, do you? Do you really understand? Do you? Do you? And I was like, fuck, dude. Go home, Tina. Go home.
A woman in the kitchen
Do you know
and
what it's
have
like to be a woman in the kitchen? Wow, that's amazing.
Like, we'll see about tomorrow. But right now, go home. Like, I know that there's no labor to spare, but Jesus Christ. Like, I cannot understand dealing with this person. Anyway, on the way to the party, now we're cutting over to Richie and Carmi in the car. They are going to their Uncle Jimmy / Cicero's house. We saw him in episode 2. But Richie brings up that he and Uncle Jimmy have never really gotten along, and they hate it when they're being called Rick. Or he hates it when he's called Rick, and Jimmy calls him Rick to piss him off all the time. He tells Carmi, don't worry, I'll keep the peace. And then the show cuts immediately to Uncle Jimmy and Richie yelling at each other on the porch.
All right? I want today to go smooth. Please do not bring that shit up.
Chill. I'm not gonna bring up shit, all right? No, you got it all wrong.
It's literally the easiest fucking
No, you see what? I'll tell you
a
something.
person
I'm the
could have.
only one
All you gotta do is
that
sit there.
stands up to your
The
ass
phone rings,
and doesn't
there's a
listen to your
problem,
bullshit. It
you
wasn't
call an
my
electrician.
fault.
Hey, they were keeping the peace. They weren't at blows yet.
Yeah. We find out that there's some sort of incident that Uncle Jimmy is blaming Richie for, that he like lost a property or something because Richie didn't fix a toilet because he didn't answer his phone when he was called. This is it's odd. I don't 100% know what the fuck is the exact situation, but it does sound like somebody tried to, or at least in Uncle Jimmy's telling, so like he tried to get a hold of Richie, and Richie wouldn't answer his phone, and so a tenant walked out on him or something. I don't really know what exactly happened, but meanwhile, Carmi is kind of getting prepared in the back. He's like slicing up oranges, and dude, tell me this isn't super realistic. There's an old man that walks up to him, and he's like, "Michael, I thought you died," and then Carmi's like, "No, I'm Carmi. Michael passed away."
Carmen? Is that you?
Hey, Mr. Zersky, how are you?
I thought you'd killed yourself.
No. Sir, that was my brother.
Right, and the old man goes, it just walks away from him. No other words said. Dude, we all have that person in our family who just says wild shit, and then they just like move on with their life. They're
Right.
just like, oh, Greg, I thought you lived in Bratislava. I'm like, I don't actually even know where that is. I live in Washington. And they're like, and I'm like, where the fuck did you get Bratislava from? Like, is that even a thing? Is that like...
That's gonna be future you and me just saying fucking random ass shit.
It's me yelling at your kid next month. Like, that's what I do already.
Yeah.
This old man wanders off, and then Richie comes in the scene, and he's bitching about Uncle Jimmy.
That motherfucker is complete fucking bullshit.
Hey, perfect
Does he
timing. I
think
already
he
did
is?
everything, fucking dick.
No, he's not even Italian, right? 100% Polish. Fucking insulting.
No, you're not even Italian, right?
Yeah, I'm more Italian than that guy is.
At this point in time, doesn't he pull out his bottle of Xanax or something like that?
Yeah, this is right when that happens. Richie's taking some Xanax, and he offers Carmi half. And I was like, first of all, please don't split pills in half with your mouth and offer me one. Like, that's a little much for me. But yeah, Carmi says no, and Richie leaves the bottle on the table.
Real quick, who the fuck breaks a pill in half using like the back teeth, man?
Monsters.
Right?
Richie's
Like,
a monster.
Like, if I absolutely needed to use my teeth because I don't have any other way to go ahead and break them, which there's a knife on the table, just saying.
Right.
If I'm going to have to use my teeth, I'm using my front ones because they're... Richie, you're a monster. You're awful.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we get to kind of the conversation we were having here at the beginning. Carmi asks Richie, where's the ketchup?
The ketchup, which box?
I didn't bring ketchup.
Why didn't you bring ketchup?
What kind of asshole is gonna put ketchup on a hot dog?
A child, Richie.
Child asshole.
This is one of those ones where it's like, I got some cousin Richie in me, because that would have been my response too. Like, I'd be like, who likes this shit? And then somebody will be like, it's for children. I'd be like, yeah, asshole children. I'm not pro kids. And so Carmy storms off to try to find some ketchup, and he tells Richie, "You're a child asshole." Dude, tell me these two motherfuckers don't seem related though, right? You know, like at this
100%.
point, like I get that Richie isn't part of the family, and I also get that Richie's not technically Italian, which matters to some people, some families. And Carmy hasn't been the closest with his family in a little while, but these two act like they're fucking related. This is some brother shit.
They've been around each other long enough that they might as well have been like born from the same womb, man. Jesus.
Yeah. Then back at the restaurant, Marcus and Ibrahim discuss the perfect donut. This is basically the story for Marcus. This entire episode is donuts, 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 donuts. I feel like this storyline was written, one, so there's a little bit of positivity at the restaurant, but two, because they didn't have something for Marcus and Ibrahim to really do in this episode, because this episode focuses very minimally on operations during lunch and dinner time, which has been different from the last couple episodes. And so as such, they kind of went a different direction. I'm fine with it. There's a weird scene in a little bit about like a color book from a designer, whatever. All we need to know is that Marcus and Ibrahim are talking about the perfect donut. Marcus is like drawing perfect circles with a protractor on grid paper. And I was like, it's really, I don't think that that's all that important, right? Not that donuts shouldn't be circle shaped and that the perfect one wouldn't be perfectly round, but that you can draw one with a protractor. It seems very strange.
It's some fucking OCD or autism going like style.
Or like a perfectionist type thing, right? Where it's like no, if I get the perfect shape, that's the foundation. Everything will fall in place after that. And you're kind of like, will it? You said earlier, like last episode, that you don't 100% have the skill to do this, but that you're willing to try. And you're going to reiterate that in a few minutes when Sydney's like, hey, donuts are tough.
Right.
But Sydney and Marcus have kind of like a nice moment here where Marcus is like, yeah, I want to make it perfect. I want to make it this amazing thing. And
What's about?
Michelin mode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be like limited edition or something.
If you're into it, then I'm into it. Let me know what you need for help, all right?
All right, gladly. Thank you, Chef.
I think that's the right attitude. I feel like that's a good thing to say, especially in a creative discipline, to tell somebody like, hey, you know what? Like, if you're excited about this, I'm supportive of it. Like it's fine. And then Sydney, we kind of follow Sydney around as she checks in on people and asks for their preferences for the pre-service family meal. And Neil is there, and he's like, hey, you think I can get that family meal? And Sydney hits him with like a, Neil, you don't work here.
Gorgeous, thank you.
You think I can get family today?
Neil, you don't work here.
I love whenever they point that out to him. Like he's just like, hey, can I get this? And you don't work here.
Yeah, it's for employees only. You are not an employee. You're a dude that Carmy knows.
At best, you're a contractor.
Yeah. Ibrahim like kind of gives like we see he's starting to come around to Sydney. He's wearing the apron. He tells Sydney that she's put a lot of confidence in Marcus and good job. And then we get Tina giving Sydney the stank eye because Tina's just being a fucking asshole in this episode. But my God, the next scene killed me so much. We get "Help Me Rhonda," famous song by the Beach Boys, playing as we watch Richie like smoking a cigarette and a fucking slowly inflating hot dog behind him. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but the camera's like slowly zooming into Richie as this hot dog is slowly inflating behind him. Did this episode make you want a hot dog? Because it kind of made me hungry for this show has a really good way of making me hungry for both donuts, hot dogs, cake, Italian beef sandwich. I had a cheesesteak yesterday because I was thinking about fucking Italian beef.
No, I was craving donuts this whole entire episode because they didn't show us any hot dogs as far as I remember. So
I think we see one on the ground later.
Oh yeah, you're right. We did
when the kids pass out.
Yeah. No, watching them like with the opening with the donuts and dipping them in chocolate and stuff, I was like,
yeah,
ooh.
all the different ways. Like when you see the hot glaze go on a donut, that's when I know you're supposed to wait for that to cool. I want that one. I want that still fucking hot and gooey one. I'll get that shit on my hands. I don't give a fuck. Like,
fuck yeah. In fact, give me a container with that hot jizz. I mean hot
yeah,
the hot icing on the side.
the jizzy creamy sauce, as Louis C.K. says. And then back to the restaurant as Help Me Rhonda's still playing. We see that Marcus and Neil are having a good time testing donuts. They're like crumpling them up next to their ears and stuff like that.
Oh, that's nice. Do you talk about feel?
Yeah. Yeah, see, this one is good. It's like,
That one's good?
yeah, I think so.
Oh, that's nice. It's how, like, you know when you go to your grandma's house and she has the cushion on the top of the toilet seat and you sit on it?
It's like slight deflating.
And it smells like potpourri, but it also smells like grandma?
I don't know if this is supposed to be realistic or satire of the way that some people go about food, but it's pretty funny. It's also especially funny because Matty Matheson is an actual chef. And so, like, if this is him making fun of these people, like, props to him because these are the people he works with all the time.
I asked myself, I was like, why the fuck are you squishing that near your ear? Especially because he's like, yeah, it's got this nice squishy sound. You got it here. Listen.
Yeah. Yeah, it almost seems like they're high, right?
Yes. Yes. Hit an episode with them out back smoking weed.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, this Help Me Rhonda montage keeps playing. Carmi is inside looking for ketchup and or cooking implements, and we see the absolute fucking banana shit chaos inside. He gets pounced on by family members, like older family members, who are effectively making fun of him for his job. They're talking shit about him.
Hey, what's up, Jagger?
Hey, oh, what's going on, Frank? Good to see you. New York, that's right. Hi, hey.
I got one question for you.
Yeah,
So you work in a restaurant, right?
I work in a restaurant, that's right.
What's it like to be a fucking loser, huh?
I don't know. This just isn't my worldview, I guess, but I've never heard anybody be like, "Chef, what a bitch." You know, like, that's so weird. Like, I'm sorry that it's not like the fucking, I don't know, like heavyweight champion of the world or some shit, you know. I'm sorry that I'm not like a general in the army, but like, fuck, dude, it's a hard job and I did very well at it. And these guys are over there and they're just talking shit, and then finally Pete shows up and defends Carmi. Like,
Carmi here was the chef of the best restaurant in the world. Okay, that's not an exaggeration. It was literally the best restaurant in the world. I mean, at least according to Eater.
he's incredible. You guys should shut the fuck up. And everyone's kind of like, And then we get back to like, I don't like Pete.
Fucker drops off a gift and now he won't leave.
Oh, my God. Yeesh.
Yeah, yeesh is right. He always looks like he's about to call the cops on us. You know what I mean?
Like a narc.
Exactly. Like a fucking narc.
We also see in this scene something that I've never seen at a party before, at a child's birthday party. Thankfully, I don't go to many. Well, actually, I haven't been to any in about 8 years, so I'm pretty happy about that. But the kids are opening the birthday boy's presents. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what feral ass family member let them do this?
Dude, I don't know, but like I was having fucking panic attacks watching that because I'm like, I'm gonna start throwing kids. Like if I was there, I'd have been like, go to your parents, or I'm gonna throw you out of the fucking second story room on my house. Okay,
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Which one are you?
Right?
Which one are you? Which one of you belongs to who?
Right? Isn't that about the same point in time where Uncle Jimmy says, "Can you help me in here? It's really fucking sucks in here."
Yeah, it really fucking sucks in here.
Can you not see this? This is bullshit.
I can't hear you when you're
Opening all my presents.
You guys are so weird. What are you doing opening up other people's stuff for? Carol, can you please help me? It really fucking sucks in here.
And then that finally leads us to our end of our montage. Richie's grilling the hot dogs outside, and Uncle Jimmy comes out to escape the mayhem. They still are kind of pissed off at each other, but they bond over not liking Pete. I think they say that Pete looks like a narc. And then this other guy, I want to say his name's like Doug or something comes by, and he's real awkward with Richie. Richie's like, what's up? And then he's like, hi. And they just quietly stand there for a second and then leave. Jimmy gets on his case like, oh, did you lose him a client too? Did you lose him a property? And Richie's like, bitch, you never called me. Uncle Jimmy pulls out his phone.
All right, so here's what she said. Couldn't turn off the sink. There's water leaking everywhere. I couldn't find anyone.
It's friggin' malarkey.
I repeatedly called Rick at 847-555-0186. Number sound familiar, Ricky?
Yeah, because that's Michael's number. Nobody looks at fucking digits anymore. I'm 312, dog.
And I looked that up. So 847 is like the northern suburbs of Chicago and a lot of Illinois. 312 is like the Chicago area code. It's for downtown, South Chicago, that sort of stuff. And then Jimmy's kind of just like quiet for a minute, and he's like, that fucking kid, man. And Richie's kind of like, yeah, man, that kid. And you could tell like Richie's like on the verge. Like he's like, dude, I'm going to lose my fucking shit. And the Xanax maybe is helping him a little bit. But yeah, the scene's only about 2 minutes long, but like for how much fun we've been having throughout the episode, watching like people fuck with donuts and, this inflatable hot dog and, Carmi and Pete like trying to fend off these family members. Like all of a sudden the show just comes along, like hits you right in the stomach.
Yep.
One, you're reminded of Michael. Two, you watch. I mean, who doesn't have this family member, right? Like, I don't know anybody rich like Uncle Jimmy who just loans out monies with the promise of like knee breaking and stuff. But the one who's like, hey, you fucking asshole, you remember that time when we were in Reno? And it's like, dude, I've never been to Reno with you. And he was like, oh, you're telling me you never went to Reno? That's not you in this picture. It's like, nope, that's your kid, not me. And he's, oh, well, and then they just move on. And you're like, cool, dude.
Or they go, hey, we should go to Reno sometime, and then they just leave.
Yeah. Yeah, no. There's certain people, well, I don't really want to go to Reno, but there are certain people I would absolutely never go there with, and almost all of them are family members. One of them is a former roommate. I wouldn't go with him because he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't gamble, so I don't know what the fuck we'd be doing. The only thing we'd be there is for the rodeo. But yeah, after this, the show does a pretty good job of like cutting hard. I actually really appreciate this about them. They don't generally soft segue into anything. Like, so this is like Richie looks down and goes like, that kid. It cuts to black real quick, and then we're back to the kitchen. Tina is behind on her work. She's ignoring Sydney's instructions. Sydney is continuing to provide feedback to her, talk about like use the salt bed, blah, 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 blah. And we see that she's using like kitchen rags, like dirty kitchen rags to fucking peel the potatoes. Sydney's like, maybe we could use knife or a clean towel instead of a dirty fucking kitchen rag. And Tina is fucking being an asshole about that too. And I'm starting to ask the question, why the fuck is Tina here today? Why the fuck is Tina here at all? Somebody's got to be able to take over for her because she is just being terrible. Would you fire her at this point?
No.
Or at least reprimand her?
I probably would have pulled her into my office and been like, hey, what's going on? I've been like, what is going on that you are at this point where you're not listening to the sous chef? I mean, if I'm the sous chef doing that sort of like having to do that, I would have pulled her in and been like, hey, look, I get it. You don't want to go ahead and listen to me. However, we have been told by Carmi, who runs this restaurant, that we are doing things in a different way. If you don't like it, you need to talk to Carmi about that, because at this point in time, I can't work like this, because every time that you don't listen to me and don't do what I'm telling you to do, we fall farther and farther behind. Where is the disconnect?
Everyone else. Yeah. And this goes back to what I said in the last episode though, right? It's one thing to be a shit. It's another thing to be a shit who's putting everybody behind.
Yeah.
Right. Like this employee exists everywhere. The person who either thinks they know better and does it their way and fucks it up for everything else, or the person who just is a weight on the team. And to her credit, I don't think Tina is like a bad chef. It's never shown that she's bad at her job. She's bad at taking instructions and listening to people.
Yeah.
And
she's not good at changing her ways.
And she's being a shithead to Sydney like the whole time. She's really just being just a shithead. But yeah, like the moment that everyone else is on board and you're not, you're now the problem. And you have two choices. You can get the fuck out, or you can change your ways, right? Like, it's nice to have noble principles. I'm all for it. But if if 5 out of 6 people are making, you know, red Kool-Aid and then, you know, blue Kool-Aid, and you're the only one making green Kool-Aid and then yellow Kool-Aid because that's what you've always served, sorry, you're wrong. Do like everybody else is doing. Also, they never served Kool-Aid at this restaurant, but they did serve homemade Ecto Cooler. That's what Carmi was making. But yeah, we could then after this we cut back to Carmi making hot dogs. Jimmy and Richie are now getting along. They're having a good time together. Pete shows up and Jimmy fucking takes off immediately.
Yeah.
What's up, man? Fuck. You guys just laughing it up over here?
Nope.
Dude,
He's
Jimmy,
like, ha ha, and Jimmy's like, burp.
I love how Uncle Jimmy was just like, from, like you said, like that pitched laugh up there at the top, just instant bye.
Yeah, I fucking love that too. He makes a couple dumb jokes. He's also talking about the Ecto Cooler making like Ghostbusters sounds, like pew pew, and he's like, right, Richie, and then Richie's like, and takes off too. It just leaves Carmi and Pete, and then Pete fucking punks out Carmi at this point, and I love it because one, Pete is a fantastic character to do this, right? I love that it's Pete of all people, but Carmi's like,
And your sister freaking was really pumped for you. Really, really pumped. Yeah. But she also, you know, really missed you a lot too. Freaking tired all of a sudden.
So, she's not really busy at work, huh?
Oh no, she's pissed at you.
Yeah, I owe her a call.
Or, you know, like 50 calls. I mean, you know, I don't want to get in the middle of anything or whatever, but I mean, it was hard for her too, you know.
you are not the only one who misses Michael. You are not the only one who has problems in the world. You are not the only member of your family. You know, she's worried about you. She followed your career closer than I did. And she's so proud of you. And you don't even fucking call her. Hey, this Ecto Cooler's good, though. I was like, fucking got him. Like, just fucking decimated. Hey, congrats on your drink. Your family's pissed at you, you dipshit. Like,
and then he starts
get over
yawning.
yourself.
Like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And you notice that the noise has died down. And I will say, I love the fact that they, one, taped the beef shirt onto the hot dog because Richie couldn't get it over him.
Carmi called. You're not going to do it. You're not going to get it.
Yeah. And then Pete points at it. He's the only one who laughs at it all day. He's like, shirt on the hot dog. That's hilarious.
This freaking guy. Hilarious.
So Richie's over here talking about this guy's a narc. Well, the only person who found your joke funny was the guy you think is a fucking narc. But yeah, when Carmi goes to refill the container of the drink, he realizes it's hella quiet out there. And then he goes, oh shit. He reaches in and somehow the bottle of Xanax had gotten in the fucking Ecto Cooler, and all these kids have passed the fuck out.
Hey, you know what? I'm gonna put money on it that Richie did it on purpose. That's where my money's going. All right.
I'm gonna put money that Jimmy did it on purpose.
Oh, that's a good one. That is good. Yeah.
But yeah, so Carmi tells Jimmy, like, don't kill me.
We spilled a bottle of Xanax in the cooler.
What, are they fucking dead?
No. I think they're just sleeping.
Actually, I'm kind of into it.
Dude, Uncle Jimmy's fucking great for that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, we've talked about this before, but there's definitely some family remedies I've heard where it's like, just give them some wild turkey. They'll be fine.
Right?
Right? And you're just kind of like, man, 60s were different.
Dude, you know how many of my family have, like, made comments about, like, oh, when we had a baby and they were just being too much, you just gave them a little brandy. My grandma used to tell me that. She's like, you just... little brandy in the bottle. And I'm like,
just rub it on their gums.
What the fuck?
You just rub some brandy on their gums. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God. Like, you're just getting the baby drunk. But you know what? We all turned out fine. We definitely didn't vote for a monster. Half of our country definitely didn't vote in a monster. Back at the restaurant, Tina allows the pot of milk to boil over on the stove, just like she was told not to do. And she's like mad at herself. As she comes back, she sees a new pot of milk and herbs have been placed there.
Why did you do this?
Because I don't have time to fuck around. You're welcome, chef.
And I was like, ooh, got her, bitch. And then we get to, as has become kind of standard for the bear, we get to the big emotional punch scene. Carmi's cleaning up after the party. He sees a picture of his dad and Uncle Jimmy from 1992.
Where's that from?
Repeat party, Grant Park, 92. You ever miss him?
Didn't really know him well enough to miss him.
Uncle Jimmy says he's always saw Carmi's father as more of a friend than family because they were so close in age and had similar problems. It's been 20 years since the last time he had spoken to Carmi's dad. They grew apart after Carmi's dad kind of like wasted his life. And then he says that, you know, the reason your dad opened a restaurant is he saw somebody else do it. And so he copied the idea and opened the original Beef. Tells him he hates going to the restaurant due to bad memories. He can't understand why Carmi wants to fix it. Tells him about this dream he has when Carmi's dad is like launched through a windshield for refusing to wear a seatbelt. Carmi the whole time is kind of like, yeah, just like taking it all in. And then finally he goes like, all right, well, you know, that's $2,000 off your debt. So,
well, I like how Uncle Jimmy
$98,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say Uncle Jimmy nickels and dimes him on it. He's like, "Oh yeah, well, finder's fee."
Yeah. And then, yeah, we come back to the restaurant one last time. Tina brings over the mashed potatoes, expecting Sydney to tell her that it's crap because Tina's a petty person who thinks that everybody else is petty. Sydney instead is like, "Hey, you know, like this is great, thanks, chef."
Go ahead, get it over with.
I don't want over with.
Taste it and tell me it's shitty.
It's great. Thanks, chef.
What?
It's great. Thank you, chef. Now, let's hurry up and roll before we get rolled, yeah?
And Tina gets a boost of confidence, and she finally thanks her.
Thank you, Jeff. Chef.
Thanks, Sydney. That is, Marcus is fucking zesting an orange onto a cake. Because, reminder, Marcus's story this time is like, have fun. We finally leave the birthday party. Jimmy actually shakes Richie's hand and calls him Richard instead of Rick. Then they find Pete passed out in the living room, drive him home, and Pete's like all passed out in the car. He's like, thanks for letting me be part of this family. And I was like, God damn it, this guy. Like, this motherfucker. And then, yeah, like, Richie kind of refuses to acknowledge Pete, but Carmi apologizes. He's like, yeah, you know, like, I haven't been the greatest. And they get back just in time to have Marcus's chocolate cake for family dessert.
We all get cake because we're best friends. Thank you. Okay.
Hey.
And everybody gets a piece, including Neil. Neil manages to get a piece. And you see that Tina is eating her food all by herself and like trying to, you know, think about the events of the day. She's starting to put things together like maybe people don't actually hate me and I'm the one who's being an asshole. Common theme in the show so far, maybe it's me.
New TV show idea. Maybe it's me.
Wraps up. I know you haven't watched it, but there's a great scene in BoJack, about third season, where one of the characters tells BoJack,
"No, BoJack, just stop. You are all the things that are wrong with you. It's not the alcohol or the drugs or any of the shitty things that happened to you in your career or when you were a kid. It's you. All right? It's you.
So we're 4 episodes in. What do you think is going to happen next?
Everybody
How do you
dies.
think this season ends.
Aliens attack.
Everybody dies.
Alien attacks. Aliens attack.
Alien attack.
The Upside Down will appear. 11 will save the day. Everyone will come back to life. Nobody's going to understand what's in someone's hand because it's going to look like nothing to them. And then the Dothraki will suicide themselves. That's how I think it's all going to end.
So I think now we're going to get copyright claimed at least 3 times. I'm not allowed to say Dothraki.
No. So what I think is going to happen is kind of what I've noticed. Every episode seems to showcase like a different character kind of coming along to Carmi's way of thinking. This episode was Tina starting to get away from like her shittiness and realize that this might be a better route, especially after tasting like what Sydney did with the milk, and then getting that statement from Sydney where Sydney's like, no, this is good. And you can see it on her face of going, oh, so I can cook like the way that Sydney wants me to cook. Not like I can cook, but my way of cooking is not the way that Sydney wants me to cook. But I can do what Sydney wants. And I think that we're going to get to the point where the beef, that's the name of the restaurant, correct? Because I wanted to call it the Bear. The beef will become far more renowned than it originally was, because you know those sorts of restaurants that are not really kosher, they're not the greatest, but you go there because like you really enjoyed the food, or like it's a family memory or some sort of shit like that. But like if that restaurant were to take it up a notch and actually like put some energy into that food, you'd be like, hey, I'm gonna bring my friends, I'll bring my family, I'll actually like tell people that come into the state or the city, go here. This is where you need to go. And the beef will become that.
And there's a place not far from here, about maybe 10 minutes away, but they have they're under new ownership again, which makes you nervous. But apparently they were a real fucking shitty place, and then the last set of owners bought it, changed it up, didn't change the name, didn't turn it into anything, but they zhuzhed up the menu, zhuzhed up the building, and now it's great and it's a destination. And yeah, I totally know what you're talking about. The beef could easily become one of those places.
Yeah.
At this point in the show, what I thought was going to happen, because it's one of those things, like we talk about this a little bit with movies, but the meta knowledge of certain things means that like obviously like a meteor is not going to strike this place and this show ends in some disaster, right? Because we know there's a season 2. And so knowing that, when I started watching this show, I was like, well, I'm guessing that there has to be some sort of big fucking big fucking event that happened at the end. And so there are 2 things that crossed my mind. One would be Michael absolutely loses his fucking, or not Michael, Carmi absolutely loses his fucking shit on everybody and blows up too much, right? Like it's one thing to shout at people, but he could be that guy who just like absolutely like eviscerates them to the point that they're like, fuck you, we quit. Right. And then it turns into basically like a Hell's Kitchen episode, right? Where it's like, or not Hell's Kitchen, Kitchen Nightmares, where I have no staff. I have to cook everything myself because I'm a huge asshole. And then the other thing I thought might happen would be that something happens to the restaurant, like a hole in the floor appears or something, and he fucking has to sell it. He has to sell it to his Uncle Jimmy. And his Uncle Jimmy is like, look, I'll give you a fair price. I'll actually give you a little bit of extra money. Go find your new place. And then it's like, I thought maybe season 2, they transitioned to like running a food truck with like the team that they have and stuff, or something like that. But yeah, I wasn't sure which way it was going to go.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, if you want to know where I think it's going to go at the end of the season, yeah, definitely I could see something along the lines of like Carmi blowing up. The idea that came to mind for me is Michael's not dead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I highly doubt that's
death, or
yeah. Well, because I mean he's $300,000 in debt.
But I mean, like, it kind of works.
It kind of works.
About it, like,
it kind of works. Yeah,
he is $300,000 in debt, and you know, it seems like he left a lot of loose ends, and I suppose it could be argued whenever anybody dies, they leave a lot of loose ends, but that's not what we're doing here. I think that, like, it could work. I could totally see that Michael's not actually dead. I don't remember if anybody even said they had a funeral for him. And knowing, or since they alleged that he took a gun and blew his brains out, it might have been closed casket, because I don't think they let you see blown open heads at funerals.
If they can't go ahead and reconstruct it, they I don't think they do.
Wow. I do like that idea. How good do those fucking donuts look?
Dude, really fucking good. The really bad thing was is I had donuts the day beforehand, and my wife was like, "Nope, no more."
So I was watching this last Tuesday, so a couple days ago as of recording this, and I'd had donuts 2 days before that, and I was thinking the whole time, I was like, dude, what if you took a hot dog and you put a donut on it, and then you just started eating it?
Wait,
and I was
we're
thinking,
talking
like, what about, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, like penis and vagina, like,
or,
fuck.
Or are you talking like cut it like a bagel and then like?
Oh no, that's ridiculous. If you're gonna do that, just use 2 hot dogs as the buns. Like, get a maple bar on one side, a chocolate bar on the other. You put the hot dog in there, and you just go to town. Add some ketchup because we're children.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Sauerkraut donuts.
Throw some mustard in there. Let's just keep going. Fuck it.
All right. Who's your favorite right now? We didn't get a lot of time with your previous choice with Ibrahim. He's not doing much in this episode.
Yeah, like when Ibrahim pops up, yeah, I do enjoy him. But like I said in episode 2, Sydney definitely takes the spotlight, and it's kind of interesting that.
What about Marcus?
Dude, Marcus is always going to be great as far as I'm concerned. Until he decides to go on to like his Joker phase and kill everybody to make the perfect donut or some shit like that.
I made it the way you like it, Carmi.
I find it
why so serious.
I find it really fucking interesting that Carmi. I like Carmi. Okay, I do. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney's more of the main character most of the time when she's on screen than Carmi is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. So it does make you think that they're definitely developing Sydney to be a bigger player in this, right? Like, she's not related to the family or the restaurant. She's the newest one there. And I think because she is kind of representing the audience, she's the fresh eyes on the madhouse, that this is something that she's going to be like, we're trying to develop her more so that when things happen, she's better suited to stand in for the audience being like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. I like it. Are we still rooting for Carmi to succeed? Has he done anything? Okay. I think in this, he actually improved my liking of him. Dude, you drugged a bunch of kids? Even if it's by accident? It's fucking hilarious. That's so funny. This is by far the funniest episode so far. They did a really good job bringing some comedy into it. Like I said, this is the highest rated episode we've watched thus far. It is the 3rd highest rated episode of the 1st season. I do think it's funny, like, when people give pilot episodes a low rating for a show that they like. I'm like, but it's the first one.
Right? Well, so I think the one thing that plays in really well for Carmi in this episode, and it kind of rang really true with me. Have you ever been at like a party where you're searching for something or someone and you get surrounded by family and you're just like, do you know where Uncle Jim is? Do you know where Aunt Liz is? And they're just like, have you been to college? Have you been eating?
Or they start telling you the wrong information. Mm-hmm. You can be like, hey, have you seen my mom? And they're just like, oh, your mom? You know, your mom and I actually went to school together. And I'm like, yeah, have you seen her today in the last like 30 minutes? 30 minutes or so. Well, you know, one time your mom and I were on the road for 30 minutes trying to get down to blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, oh my God. I think I like you, family member who I don't barely know. I'm glad we're all at this party. But can you tell me where she is?
But yeah, like that happens in this scene, this episode where Carmi's looking for the ketchup and he's just swarmed by everybody and he's got that look on his face of just like, do you know where the ketchup is? Yeah. And they're just like, so back when my day we had World War II, and you're like, ah.
Oh my god, dude. I'm like, yeah, great. But also, like, dude, Pete coming in and basically saving his ass, and then Carmi being a dick to him, or like being like, oh, this guy sucks. It's like, fuck you, Carmi. Right? Like, I don't really understand why people don't like Pete. Like, yeah, he's a goober, but these guys aren't that cool. And it does make me wonder if it's just a thing of like, nobody was good enough for Sugar.
That's also a good possibility, but the idea that went through my head was, if you look at everybody that is a part of the family, or like in Richie's case, attached to the family, they're all shitheads. Pete is nice dressed. He's got a button-up shirt. He's always like crisp and clean when he's in a shot. Everybody else is aggressive and angry and abrasive. Yeah. But Pete is just like...
I guess maybe what they could be getting at is maybe Pete's not, quote unquote, man enough for Sugar, right? He doesn't act like a man acts.
Like, you probably nail it right there. Pete probably doesn't equate out to the man that they think that a man should be.
Poor guy. Having to live up to two standards, the family standard and also the fucking the standard for... Yeah, and also still be a good husband to his wife. So 3 standards.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus. Poor guy. All right. I don't really have anything more to talk about with this episode. At this point in the show, I'm fully hooked. I can't wait to watch the next few episodes. That was what I was thinking when I watched this for first time for a couple of years. It's fantastic. Fantastic show. Still recommend it to everybody. At the end of the season, we'll kind of like rank all the episodes and put out a little tier list. But yeah, all right. We've been streaming Wasteland. I've been Chef de Putty. I've been the meat man. And over there is Ringo. He's the sauce boy.
Sauce boy.
Sauce me, big guy. We will eat our donut hot dogs on camera for the right amount of money. Please send us money. We don't have a way for you to do that, but if you're interested in sending us money, contact us and we'll figure out a way. I'll get you a PayPal link.
You contact us, I'll set up a Patreon within that hour.
That's say you can pledge to us. I'll set up a coffee so you guys could just donate one time. Totally fine. Tip jars, absolutely appreciated. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Go ahead and let us know what you thought about our episode, about this episode, The Bear. If you've ever worked in a kitchen, let us know how crazy or maybe normal any of the behavior in the show is. Are all pastry chefs so obsessed with donuts? Let's find out. Thanks for listening, everybody. Ringo, any final words?
Donuts are fucking awesome, but why would you protractor circle that shit out? Man, come on. Calm down. Calm down a little bit. I know that was an episode ago.
You ever been thrown out of a Dunkin' Donuts?